7 days ago, the minimum hardware to run a personal AI agent was a $600 Mac Mini. Today, you can run one on a $10 chip you can order from Amazon right now. And I am not talking about some watered-down chatbot, a full AI agent browsing the web, running scheduled tasks, managing memory, responding to your messages, on hardware smaller than your wallet. The project is called PicoClaw. And in this video, I'm going to break down what it actually is, what it is not, and whether you should genuinely care. Because there is a lot of hype around this, and some of it is real, and some of it is completely misleading. PicoClaw was released on February 9th, 2026 by a company called Sipeed out of Shenzhen, China. It hit 12,000 GitHub stars in 7 days, one of the fastest growth rates ever recorded for an AI agent repository. But before you write it off as just another viral project, the technical story behind those numbers is worth actually understanding. Here is the side-by-side. OpenClaw runs on TypeScript and Node.js. It needs over 1 gigabyte of RAM, takes over 500 seconds to boot, and the codebase is 430,000 lines. PicoClaw is written in the Golang programming language under 10 megabytes of RAM, boots in under 1 second. And the entire codebase sits at around 4,000 lines. That is 400 times faster to start and 99% less memory. Not a marginal improvement, a completely different category of software. But here is the detail almost nobody is covering. 95% of PicoClaw's code was written by an AI agent, not assisted by one, actually written by one. The AI did not just help build it, it redesigned the architecture from scratch to make itself lighter. An AI agent essentially rebuilt itself to run on $10 hardware. That is the real headline here. Now let's talk about who built this, because it matters more than most people realize. Sipeed is not a startup. They have been making AI-capable development boards since around 2015. They make the chips, they make the boards those chips go onto, and now they make the software that runs on those boards. Their hardware ships globally through Amazon and AliExpress. And before PicoClaw launched, their NanoKVM project already had over 6,000 GitHub stars. Their business model here is straightforward. PicoClaw is completely free and open source. The money comes from the hardware. Every improvement to PicoClaw drives more board sales. Same playbook Red Hat used with Linux. Give the software away, monetize the infrastructure. Now, before anything else, I want to kill the biggest misconception about how this actually works. PicoClaw is not running artificial intelligence locally. The $10 board is not doing the thinking. What it is doing is running a loop. Every time you send it a message, it assembles your context, forwards everything to a cloud language model like Claude or GPT, gets the response back, executes any tools that were called, web search, file read, whatever, and sends you the reply. The board manages that coordination. The intelligence comes from the cloud API that you pay for separately. Think of the board as a relay station. It picks up your Telegram message, routes it to Anthropic servers, gets the answer, and delivers it back. That is why 10 megabytes of RAM is enough. There is no model running on the device. It is an orchestration layer, not an inference engine. And this is actually the exact same architecture OpenClaw uses. Both run the same loop. The difference is not what they do, it is how much hardware they need to do it. So where does PicoClaw hold up versus OpenClaw, and where does it fall short? Both handle Telegram, Discord, Slack, and shell commands. PicoClaw actually adds messaging platforms OpenClaw does not support. Where OpenClaw is in a different class is everything beyond the core loop. Browser automation, WhatsApp, computer control, the Claw Hub skills marketplace, full persistent memory, multi-agent coordination. That is all OpenClaw. PicoClaw's memory and file access are basic and sandboxed by comparison. And one thing the project itself is transparent about, it is not production ready yet. They are telling you directly, do not deploy this in a live business environment. Let's get into the real cost breakdown, because the $10 number is only half the story. Yes, the hardware is $10 to $50 as a one-time purchase compared to roughly $600 for a Mac Mini. But here is what that headline leaves out. Both setups require you to pay for an LLM API subscription every single month. Whether you are on PicoClaw or OpenClaw, Anthropic or OpenAI is still getting $30 to $70 from you every month. Web search through Brave is free for both. Messaging is free for both. So in year one, PicoClaw runs you roughly $300 to $900 total. OpenClaw with a Mac Mini runs $900 to $1,400. From year two onwards though, the ongoing cost is identical for both setups. The cheap board does not change your monthly API bill. If you are already running OpenClaw on a cheap VPS, your costs are already comparable to PicoClaw from day one. Now the internet reaction to this launch was intense, and it split in a really interesting way. One group looked at the numbers and called it genuinely revolutionary. A single post from a developer got 200,000 views, calling it a $10 killer of OpenClaw. 12,000 stars in a week backed that energy up. Another group pushed back hard, and their argument is fair. Their point is that PicoClaw is just an API client with a thin coordination layer on top. The board still needs a paid subscription behind it to do anything useful. The local footprint is almost irrelevant. The most interesting takes, though, came from a third group. The people thinking about this at a systems level. One developer put it plainly: everyone is racing to shrink the local orchestrator, but nobody is asking the more important question. Every prompt you send, every business idea, every piece of client context, it goes to the language model provider's servers. Whether your board costs $10 or $600 is completely irrelevant to that. That is a point worth sitting with. On the data and privacy question, because it came up in every thread, here is what is actually verifiable. PicoClaw is MIT licensed. The code is public. The binary runs locally and does not communicate with Sipeed servers. Your data goes to whichever LLM provider you configure, not to Sipeed. You can read the source code and build the binary yourself if you want full verification. Sipeed is not in the data path. The real question to ask is which language model you are pointing it at. Because if the answer is DeepSeek, that is a very different conversation than pointing it at Anthropic. There are also some legitimate warnings about PicoClaw worth knowing. It is early stage software. The community is a fraction of the size of OpenClaw, and there have been crypto scam links appearing in the GitHub issues. So verify anything external before clicking. So who should actually be using this? If you want a lightweight, always-on assistant for simple daily tasks, morning briefings, price checks, basic reminders, PicoClaw is a genuinely good fit. If you have an old Raspberry Pi in a drawer, that is your hardware right there. If you are learning how AI agent loops work, this is probably the most accessible entry point available right now. But if you are running a real business automation, browser control, CRM workflows, WhatsApp, multi-agent pipelines, stay on OpenClaw. PicoClaw is not built for that yet. The smartest setup for most people might actually be running both. PicoClaw on a cheap board for lightweight always-on tasks, OpenClaw on a dedicated machine for everything that needs real power. Here is what I want to leave you with. 1 week ago, the question was which $600 machine to run your AI agent on. Today, that question is about a chip that costs less than a coffee. That happened in 7 days. AI agent orchestration is about to become invisible because it will be built into everything. The skills you are building right now, configuring agents, writing system prompts, designing automation workflows, do not become less valuable as the hardware gets cheaper. They become more valuable because the barrier to run an agent is collapsing. The knowledge of what to build with one is not. If this saved you money or time, hit subscribe because I cover exactly these kinds of setups every week.